Let me ask you then about getting your first customer. We've got founders here on this call that need to get their first customer. You are a salesperson. You help our community. Just full disclosure, Ken helps our community and helps founders identify their ICP, initial or ideal customer profile, what it means to go out there and do founder-led sales. That's what you're all about. And really, I think that speaks so loudly to investors saying, man, Ken's ready to go out there and hit the streets and start selling. What's your advice if a founder comes to you and says, I need my first customer? How are you talking to them? How are you advising them?
The number one problem I see with most founders is they automatically think that 10 million potential buyers immediately. And what they don't realize is that you just have to find one. Until you find that one person, that first buyer, everybody else is irrelevant because you have to find one person that wants to hand you their money to purchase whatever you're selling. The other 10 million, I mean, they're out there,
Sure.
but to actually access them, that's where a founder is going to think, well, I'm just going to have revenue start immediately. And even I need to, I'm a black belt in ICP. I'm a black belt. But I knew it was going to take me time to get my initial customer signed on. And it's something that I prepared myself for, knowing that I'm doing something so new. This is not me. I don't have a widget that I can sell somebody. I don't have a wonderful dog watering tool that's going to save me time when I go and when I'm at Central Park, walking my dog to give him a little bit of water. Nope, I don't have it on a leash. I don't have that. I have Ken Gobble as a service. And then until somebody wants to pay for me to do what I do, it's that first person. And then once you have that first person, you ask them, why did you buy it?
Yeah.
And ask them, what did I do right? If you don't ask your initial customers, I love to use the scenario because, Will's so big about talking about Uber. Imagine the first person that ever, outside of the company, the first individual that actually got to take an Uber ride. They didn't have the app. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know anything about it. Somebody approached them and said, hey, we're building this fantastic app. It's a taxi and a phone and whatever. Would you like to be that first person? That person probably felt like they were, Chuck Norris, just like the biggest badass, because they get to do something for the first time.
Sure.
Think about how important that is. And I coach founders to think about, find that individual that's going to be excited to be your first.
Yeah.
Because they are a part of your story for the rest of your life. And if they were that first person, make them feel special, because then other people are going to see how important they were to you, and they're going to want that same feeling. And that's what turns it into a second and a third and a fourth person. But you've got to go out there and really find who needs me or needs my product more than anybody else. And that's what I help people kind of identify is, maybe you can't get to them directly. Maybe you have a business to consumer product, but maybe you need to go through like a society that people have members. They have 10,000 members that are into watercolor painting, and you have the newest water refreshing tool for watercolor people. And you're going to go and you're going to say, I'm going to give 10 of these away to people so they can go and just give me a customer feedback on it. And for all of your people to come and buy it afterwards, I'll give you a 90% discount. You can get whatever discount you want. Maybe you have to almost give it away, but get them using it, because that's your first customer. And if they fall in love with the product and will give you that endorsement, that's priceless. Because just like with investors, once you have the first investors, other people are going to want to be involved. It's the same thing in sales. When one person buys it, you have to create that desire for other people to want it as well. But you're not going to know why they bought it unless you ask them that question. So if you try to sell to somebody and they'd say no, ask them why.
Yeah.
What did I not do well enough to have you to buy my product? What did I have done differently? People are going to be so blown away that you care enough of their opinion on why they didn't spend the money. Maybe I just didn't have the money at the time, but you know what? Maybe in 30 days, I'll be your first buyer. I just didn't have the money right now. You never know unless you ask those questions. So, when it comes to ICP, you have got to rack your brain, and yeah, you may have the 10 million, but you got to focus on, where can I target first? Is there an organization? Is there a network? Can I ask a friend that maybe my friends can go out and find somebody that needs my product? It all depends on what you're selling. Is it a service? Is it a product? But by having people, like yourself and like myself, that can actually kind of help a founder, just bring that noise down to something that is coherent. That's the biggest thing. And so, like right now, I've got about 15 potential buyers for my first introductions and everything like that. But till I had a good enough product for my buying customer that doesn't pay a penny to me, I needed to make sure that they were comfortable with me going out and finding these these vendors to come in, so that I'm giving them the perfect match. And then the people, when I go and I hand them an opportunity to meet a buyer that buys their specific product, that has a budget and everything else, it's going to be very easy for them to write that first check. And then once they hear about it, then they're going to want more of it. And then word's going to start getting around. But it's all about performing for my customer first. And then the buyers are going to come in.
One thing that you talked about, I think founders need to take away is finding that early adopter, that one individual who's tickled pink to be the first one to try it. For example, I'm an early adopter in certain things, but you know what I'm not an early adopter in is technology, which is really weird. Like I still have an iPhone 12. I just upgraded like a few months ago from the iPhone 10. What are they on? Like the 16 now? I'm not the early adopter. Don't try and sell me on your first iPhone. But other things that make my life easier, like software, if someone comes and tries it, like I try founder stuff all the time, if it makes sense for me because I'm an early adopter of technology. So if you can find that person, not only the person who has the problem, but the one who has that proclivity, the psychological proclivity to be an early adopter, they will then refer you to what we talk about in the innovation adoption curve, the first majority, the early majority, and then you got your late majority, and then your laggards. You're the innovator at the top. So everyone look this up, look up the innovation adoption curve, because where you are in that curve will help you identify the ICP, not just the people who have the problem, where they hang out, but you might hit 10,000 people who love doing watercolor with Ken's new fancy gizmo, but only maybe 6% of them are early adopters. You got to find out where they are. That's one of the secrets. And that's what you've been doing, Ken.
You just have to keep falling on your face until you find that person.
Yeah.
You utilize every resource in your power. And if you don't have the resources, if you're a founder that doesn't have a network, find a network first. Go and find other people that are in complementary businesses to what you do, and maybe find somebody that was successful, or maybe they weren't successful. Go and find that complementary person and ask them for advice, because the one thing that humans love to do is talk about themselves.
True.
And if you can get somebody talking about themselves, and the same thing goes for your initial buyers, you can have them tell you why they're going to buy your product. You just have to find those people that have the need, or whatever piece of drive people have for your product. Does it improve their life? Is it something that is a commodity? What is your product? You just have to understand your product, and then go, like you said, and target the people that need it. Because again, 10,000 people may be watercolorists, but most of them could be, maybe they're not into electronics. Maybe they're Amish and they don't want to do anything with electricity. And so they don't want a self-stirring, thing.
Sure.
Well, you got to knock those people out, but it's trial and error.
So nobody has a crystal ball. And
No.
I like it. Trial and error, stay resilient, keep at it. That's what you're coaching founders.